There's been a 2-star brigadier general killed in Afghanistan by one of the U.S. NATO trained soldiers. And I want to get Staff Sergeant Joe Biggs, who's been in Afghanistan a long time, he's now retired, to pop in. We don't even know the name yet of the general. And, of course, we're learning about it from German news, Der Spiegel. Because our media is so controlled. A high-ranking German general was reportedly also shot and is in critical condition. William Geen will be joining us to discuss the Democratic Party's attempted anti-white racist agenda, which a congressman has now gone public with. Republican blast Democrats, war on whites. And that really is what it is. But again, it's a psyop politically to brand all white people as racist. And then if you don't go along with the agenda of the Democrats, turning your guns in, open borders, taxes, world government, socialism, you are a racist. So we're going to be going over that coming up. He made the statements on the Laura Ingraham show. Gerald Celente will be joining us to talk about world trends. He said over a year ago the big trend would be war, war, and more war, and dollar devaluation. Boy, he's been proven accurate. So the top trends forecaster, Gerald Celente, will be joining us coming up today. Jesse Ventura is on the show tomorrow. I'd rather get him on for a full hour than just 10 minutes like we could have earlier last week. He's putting his official statement out today at 2 o'clock about that trial, which affects the First Amendment across the board. And they're going to give us that video first exclusively at Infowars.com at 2 o'clock. They're going to send us the link, so we'll have that at Infowars.com. But Jesse will be joining us tomorrow to talk about the different angles and facets of it. Regardless of what you think of Jesse Ventura, the story was a lie. And so they can run similar psyops on myself, Rand Paul, Matt Drudge, Rush Limbaugh, for that matter, anybody who's pro-gun, anybody that's pro-sovereignty. Not that any of us are perfect, but any of us that still care about this country and aren't criminals, they're going to make stuff up about. And so if you go along with them trying to bring down Ventura, which they've done to a great extent, well, we'll all be picked off individually. So as of live broadcast at 11 o'clock Central in 4 minutes right now, general killed in Afghanistan. Some reports say brigadier, some say major. American general killed. An American general was killed today and 15 other soldiers wounded in an attack at a military academy in Afghanistan. The incident happened at Camp Kwarha. How do you pronounce that? Kwarha, where Afghan military officers were being trained when a gunman wearing an Afghan army uniform turned his weapon against American and other Afghans, ABC has learned. The camp was recently renamed after a national defense university for the country's deceased vice president. And it goes on to break it down. That's ABC News. We've got the Daily Mail up on screen for folks. So we'll try to figure out exactly what's going on there.
Celebrate the spirit of freedom and liberty upon which our nation was founded at InfoWarsShop.com. Molon Lave is ancient Greek for come and take it. This popular design combines both classic Greek Spartan imagery with modern M16 assault rifles. Now available in women's tees and proudly made in the USA. Celebrate the spirit of 1776 with the George Washington brass belt buckle or this incredibly sharp-looking 1776 hat. Badass. And be sure to check out the new arrivals at InfoWars Life, where you can prepare your body to perform at peak levels with Survival Shield, Nascent Iodine, Super Male Vitality, and Fluoride Shield. And wake up, America. Immune Support Blend is the healthy choice for the gourmet coffee lover. So get incredibly high-quality, freedom-based products and help fund the revolution at InfoWarsShop.com.
Earlier today, a two-star major general was killed at a joint military training base, a green-blue base, where the Afghan army is trained by the U.S. military and other members of NATO who are squatting on top of the opium production operations in the #1 opium-producing nation in the world, Afghanistan. U.S. Major General killed an insider attack at Afghan base. And, of course, our own military is being forced to train not just the Afghan government and military, but ISIS, whatever you want to call it, and giving them weapons in the last 3.5 years to carry out the murder of over 300,000 men, women, and children, mainly Christians in Syria. And our media and Barack Obama and John Kerry and all of them get up there indignantly and say we need to launch bigger attacks. And to our military's credit, they've come out and spoken out against it and said, no, we're not al-Qaeda's Air Force. But IS is running all over Africa, all over the Middle East, all over the place, killing people. IS is just the new name of al-Qaeda. And no one wants to talk about it. Not the big churches, not conservative media, not mainline media. All anyone will talk about is 60-something dead Israelis and 1,000 dead Palestinians. I'm sad for both sides. Tribal warfare, intractable. It's going to happen every few years, basically forever. I just asked the question, why am I always directed, and why are you directed, to only focus on that and to have lots of indignation, like the Nicaraguan president has come out and said Netanyahu is possessed by the devil? It's this big, giant, international cause celeb to always side with the Muslims in any way if it's against the West or against Israel. In Asia, in Latin America, the Muslims are seen as the underdog. And the public sees things as Germany versus Brazil, or Coke versus Pepsi, or Chevy versus Ford. It's so mindless. The globalists are manipulating all the sides, not just two sides, on record. I mean, here's a headline out today on Infowars.com from the Washington Times. We have it linked. Bill Clinton's Kosovo freedom fighters trafficked in body parts when the spoils of war are human organs. We knew this back at the time. Radical al-Qaeda-connected groups running opium attacked Serbia for 3 years. When the Serbs fought back, the Democrats bombed the country up one side and down the other. Republicans went along with it. And they turned over a third of the country to be ethnic cleansed by Muslims against Christians. There were no parades in New York City or Austin, Texas against it. The Nicaraguan president had nothing to say when that happened. And I'll tell you why. It's because the Albanians were a shade darker than most of the Serbs. Because hundreds of years ago, Muslims had repeatedly invaded and successfully taken Albania and not Serbia. And they'd had famous battles in Serbia, in Pristina, in Kosovo, a third of Serbia, holding back the Muslims when they were invading Europe. And so NATO, I guess, gave as a gift to Saudi Arabia control of not just Albania, but also of Kosovo. And they said, listen, the organs are yours. And that's in the news today. We knew it back then, but it's been declassified, that they would just go door to door slaughtering everyone with zero coverage. So here's the headline. Republicans blast Dems war on whites. We're going to play that clip coming up later in the hour. In fact, we have that clip now. In fact, we'll air it as soon as we get it lined up. Just let me know. But that is the issue here that we're talking about, is it is a war on Western civilization directed by globalists that run the West, because they want to bring everyone down, not just the third world, whether you're an Eastern European white person or a poor black person or a Latin American, they want poverty and control. They want to dominate society. That's how you control billions of people. Short of killing them, you dumb them down, you make them poor. You give them false ideologies. But Israel blowing up schools, blowing up UN facilities, blowing up power plants and water treatment in Gaza is a war crime by standard yardsticks, and is something that you don't do in a civilian area. Now, Rush Limbaugh famously said the last time they attacked Gaza, and I disagreed with him. We played the clip here, that, well, of course we carpet bomb cities. That's what we did in World War II. That's how you bring terror. That's how you break an enemy. But Iraq didn't even attack us on 9/11, any way you look at it. And Iraq had been an ally with the U.S., and that we lose the moral high ground. By that argument, you'd have to agree with people like Ward Churchill, who I disagree with, who said that the people that flew planes into the World Trade Centers were army soldiers taking out, you know, people that supported the Nazis, basically. His attitude was Wall Street's evil, and so every secretary in there deserved what they got. Really, if you're going to criticize Ward Churchill for that, that's the same thing Rush Limbaugh's saying. And you lose your humanity when you end up doing that. But I don't take a side here, because a lot of the Palestinians are connected into groups. In fact, I'd say around half of them, you can look at the poll numbers, who say that they would exterminate every Christian in the Middle East. And I don't even take sides because I'm a Christian. It's that, wow, that's incredibly barbarous. And most Palestinians say in polls they would destroy Israel and basically kill everybody that lives there. So both sides hate each other. Both sides are in a death battle. Both sides are committing atrocities against each other. Let's be honest, like we were space aliens looking down from space and just analyzing what was going on instead of being emotionally sucked into one side or the other. Our government has funded Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and others to take over areas of Serbia, to take over areas of Egypt, and then fail, to take over areas of Syria, and take over areas of Iraq, and blow up mosques, and blow up churches, and crucify people, and sexually mutilate hundreds of thousands of women, and kill 300,000+, and just eat hearts on television, and murder whole families, and kill non-radical Muslims. I mean, it is extreme. Almost zero media coverage. And if you say, wow, Benjamin Netanyahu is supporting NATO and Saudi Arabia doing this, aren't Israelis upset about that? Israelis call in and say, yeah, we're upset about that. We don't like that. But the average trendy that just says they hate Israel sends me a threatening email saying, I hope you die. You work for Israel. No, I don't. If I worked for who ran Israel, I would be supporting the takeover of Iraq by IS, Islamic State. I'd be supporting the takeover of Syria by IS. I'd be supporting what's happening in Gaza instead of sitting back and trying to get people out of tribal mindlessness to see how Israel, the Palestinians, Saudi Arabia, America, Germany, China, Russia, we're all being played off against each other. People say, take a side, take NATO's side or take Russia's side in Ukraine. The globalists started the Ukraine war, overthrew the government, started attacking Russian-held areas where they had bases for hundreds of years. Russia responded. I'm not endorsing everything Russia does, but I don't support starting wars and putting Nazis in control of countries like Ukraine. And I've had Ukrainians walk me on the street and say, I'm a listener of yours, but I can't believe you're supporting Putin. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Twice. One guy in a restaurant said, I used to like you, but I don't like you supporting Putin. I don't support Putin, but I don't support overthrowing the Ukrainian government and then starting a war with Russia. Just like I don't support IS, folks. I don't support chaos.
Now you can watch The Alex Jones Show live as it happens at Infowars.com/show. You'll find links to all of our content there and a free 15-day trial for Prison Planet TV.
More than 60 movies and documentaries all in one place at Infowars.com/show.
Huge news on the Ebola front. U.S. health authorities concealing number of suspected Ebola victims from the public. CNN's Dr. Sanjay Gupta, at least 6 tested for Ebola in New York City. And our report is up on drudgereport.com. It's also obviously on Infowars.com. Meanwhile, there's a new poll out. Israelis want to give Obama Ebola for his birthday. I'm sure Dr. Eric Pianka probably wants to give 90% of us Ebola. So it's ridiculous. The last thing I want is something bad to happen to Obama, because that would turn him into a martyr and is one of the few things the globalists could do to get their agenda restarted. By the way, it hit me right before airtime. We're really in the beginning of what you call World War IV. The Pentagon, if you look it up, considers the last 20, 30 years World War III, economic war, military deployment. World War IV, though, is a mix of proxy wars and economics and hacking and espionage. And the globalists have launched World War IV. They're using the United States to destabilize the planet. And again, it's not that China or Russia are good. Their kleptocratic elites just aren't as sophisticated as the globalists and aren't completely eugenics-based. China is, but Russia isn't, and that's their great crime. They're just old-fashioned strongmen kleptocrats, nationalists who do enjoy national pride. The globalists absolutely hate this country and want to bring it down. So I have to say Putin is a lesser of two evils, but nevertheless doesn't matter because he doesn't run our policy. It's the globalists that are sitting on top of us. Another question, what will you do if they make it mandatory for all Americans to take an Ebola vaccine? That is the question. Growing outcry for the scientific community to do something about the deadly virus. Over 1,000 deaths now. And I've got reports saying it's probably much higher. Ebola outbreak could lead to gun confiscations, martial law. The Obama administration is preparing the conditions required for a government-declared crisis under those executive orders listed by Infowars.com. Under NORTHCOM, you can be put in forced work brigades, gun confiscation, seizure of any private property or hoarded food, you name it. The article's up on Infowars.com.
What I was talking about, which we have really some very favorable results on, is a vaccine to prevent infection. And this would be very relevant to healthcare providers who put themselves at high risk in taking care of individuals. We tested it in monkeys. It looks really good. It protects monkeys completely from...
There's an NIH investigator on CBS Propaganda News pushing the vaccine. Vaccine science does work. It does have some side effects when done properly still. But this is a government combine caught adding stuff to vaccines thousands of times, hurting people and killing people. So the headline is the U.S. is sitting on promising vaccines. Oh, really? Is that why a lot of the doctors themselves refuse to take it? And they spin it like they're heroes for not wanting it? It's because they know how dangerous a vaccine is, ladies and gentlemen. But the media says safe and effective, there are no side effects. Read the insert, folks. They're lying to you. Not just of Ebola vaccine, any vaccine. U.S. health authorities, again, concealing number of suspected Ebola victims from the public. We're going to be playing some of that report coming up. Doctor says Ebola outbreak is spinning out of control. That's CBS News, Atlanta. Ebola outbreak could be much worse than thought. Again, CBS News. Also, with that headline, I tend to agree with that statement. If it's over 1,000 deaths now, that's what we know of. It could be much worse. Mount Sinai patient tested for Ebola virus in the United States. That's being reported by ABC News. Saudi Arabia tests suspected citizens of having Ebola. Saudi Arabia tests man suspected of having Ebola. Many U.S. hospitals not prepared for Ebola. Fox News. Atlanta hospital receives hate mail. We talked about that yesterday because they took the Ebola patient or patients. The issue is that they should be in level 4 bioweapon containment facilities that are a lot safer, not in mainline university hospitals that have patients down the hall. That is reckless abandonment of the public health and a crime. The question is, why is the establishment doing it? Plausible deniability. Alex Jones here to break down some exciting developments in the area of research concerning supplemental iodine. It's nothing less than phenomenal. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. And I used some of the mainline iodine supplements and they upset my stomach and I had some issues with it. Until I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group, who I was already interviewing as an expert on my radio show, and I began taking the product before he actually rolled it out. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals that are incredibly powerful that no one else has as a source for their iodine from between 7,000 and 12,000 feet, literally drilled out of the ground. You put it on a hot plate and it turns into the pure gas. No one else has 99.99% pure iodine. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. I was over 270 pounds. And with the iodine, exercise, and better diet, I have lost now more than 50 pounds total, and I'm continuing to lose the weight. I have more energy, my libido, all this crap came out of my skin. I believe our research is conclusive. This is the best iodine out there. And I know this for a fact. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating. This is trailblazing. And the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off Super Detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.